arguments for him and against him said he existed and he did pretty crazy stuff that had a massive impact on the world. I don't know how the skeptic answers that. And so just like Quadratus is a bishop, so he's favorable toward Christianity. But you have guys like Josephus, who's writing in the 1st century, who's working for Rome as a historian. And listen to what he says about Jesus. He says, at this time, there was a wise man called Jesus. Now, by the way, he is a Jew. He does not like the spread of Christianity, but he acknowledges there was a guy, Jesus, and he says his conduct was good and he was known to be virtuous. Many people among the Jews and the other nations became his disciples. Pilate condemned him to be crucified and to die. So it's like check. The Bible's all over this. But those who had become his disciples did not abandon his discipleship. Gee, why not?
Now, my grandmama always told me that you ain't supposed to speak ill of the dead. But this man is just a lying-ass liar on the name of Josephus. Now, as far as his part about skeptics and Jesus and the impact, I'll get to that one in a second video. But on this video, I want to focus mainly on this idea that Josephus is an extra biblical account that validates the Jesus character actually existed, the biblical Jesus character actually existed. Because I will agree right off the bat that there are Jesus type characters in Josephus's work, but there's about 3 or 4 different versions of this Jesus character, because some of them have different fathers, some of them have different brothers and sisters, some of them did different things. They're not all the same. Their brothers did different things. They're not all the same when you actually read Josephus, the Antiquities. And then the Antiquities correlate with Josephus' War of the Jews. So there are differences in the different Jesuses that he talks about. But the one that he is trying to quote is based on the Testimonium Flavianus. Now, what this is, and I'm going to say it right off the bat, is a complete forgery. Now, he purposely left out parts of the Testimonium because he knows that the information is not correct. Meaning this, he talked about how he's saying that Josephus said that he was a good man, a wise man. But he left out the fact that he's supposedly in the Testimonium, it says that he was a doer of great deeds, of miraculous things. He left out the part where it is claimed in it that he was the Christ, the Messiah. He left those parts out, right? And he left out the part of it where it talks about that then Jesus rose on the 3rd day and spent time with his disciples. Now, you would think a Christian would definitely espouse those aspects of the Testimonium Flavianus, right? But yet in this interview, he purposely leaves them out. And one of the reasons why is because I believe that he knows that if he were to express those, he would be digging deeper into the lie that the Testimonium Flavianus is authentic, because it is not authentic. The first reason that I'm going to say that it's not authentic is because Josephus would have never claimed Jesus to be the Messiah. He would have never claimed him to be the Christos. You see, when you look at Josephus's work and understand Josephus' life, Josephus was a Hellenistic Jew. He never gave up Judaism. He always remained a Jew. He never believed in the Jesus character as being the Messiah. And this was further identified in the writings of Origen, in Origen's commentary on Matthew, where Origen expressed that Josephus never accepted Jesus and Josephus never converted to Christianity, and Josephus was a traitor to the Jews. So in Origen's writings, you have no mentioning of the Testimonium Flavianus, and you have the seconding that Josephus remained a Jew. And in Josephus' own works, he talks about how he remained faithful to the Jewish religion, but he was a Hellenistic Jew. First took on a wife who was Jewish, and then he took on a Hellenistic Jewish wife after that. But he, being a writer for a Roman historian, being a writer for the Roman historians under Titus, never accepted Jesus. Now, Origen wrote that. And notice that Origen nor Justin Martyr or anybody else in those first, second, and third century never said anything about the Testimonium Flavianus. The first time you get, and this is the second reason why it's not authentic, the first time you get the Testimonium Flavianus is in 324. This is in Eusebius's writings, where he was quoting from the Antiquities. And in quoting from the Antiquities, it is the first time that you hear the Testimonium Flavianus, based on a quote from Eusebius. Eusebius is writing in 324, 1 year before the Council of Nicaea, when Christianity has become legal, and then there is a leaning towards it gaining political standing with the Roman government through Constantine. He now writes this Flavianus, this Testimonium Flavianus. And one reason why it's believed that Origen is the writer of it is because in one aspect of it, when it said he is a doer of great deeds, the word doer there is, and I'm going to say it wrong because I don't speak Greek, is poetes. Now, in other parts of the Antiquities, the word poetes that is used by Josephus means poet, which at the time frame of Josephus's writings, poetes did mean poet. But now it's being used as doer, which is during the time frame of Eusebius is what the word would have meant at that time frame. So it demonstrates that the writing style and the use of language was not the same as what Josephus had already previously been writing. So Origen didn't say anything, Justin Martyr didn't say anything, and many other of the early church fathers said nothing. So this idea of silence, and then all of a sudden it comes out in 324 with Eusebius. And then it's not mentioned again until 392 with Jerome. So the idea that it was authentic started to wane as people started realizing when they started criticizing language later on into the 17th, 16th centuries of our modern day time. But it just shows that this guy is just trying to take, and he's trying to utilize the idea of Christian interpolation by taking out the parts that he knows are disagreeable. He knows that Josephus would have never said. See, Josephus would have never said that Jesus rose on the third day, spent time with his disciples, and then became one with God. This is not something Josephus would have written during that time frame. Not only would he have not written it as a Jew, he would not have written that as being in the house of the Flavians. He would have never written that, because in their mindset, Titus is the son of God. Vespasian is a god. So he would have never written that Jesus was the son of God and then became one with God. That would have meant Josephus's head. He would have been kicked out of the Roman court, executed by the Romans, and all his works would have been burned. There's absolutely no way Josephus would have wrote that Jesus rose and spent time with his disciples and then went off to heaven. In the Christian interpolation aspect of Josephus' writing is when they take the parts out that they know Josephus would not have written, but leave in the parts that they think Josephus could have gotten away with, which is to say that he was a wise man, a good man, and he had gained many disciples throughout who were both Jew and Greek, and that's it. The rest of the Testimonium Flavianus is void. But if that part is void, it's most likely that the whole thing is void. But I can halfway see that here was a guy who claimed to be the Messiah, was killed, even though the killed by Pilate part is kind of iffy, but was killed. But Pilate killed a bunch of people who claimed to be the Messiah. But then there are many people who became disciples of that person, and they believe this, and they believe that he was the Son of God, or they believe this religion, or it started this religion. That part is plausible, acceptable, that somebody started a new religion, because people do that all the time. So what do you guys think? And always remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.